and here with Alaska Airlines for their inaugural flight to Reno Tahoe, starting on November 8th, actually tomorrow. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Jonny Moseley, Olympic gold medalist, joining us. Appreciate you taking the time.
Hey, it's great to be here. I'm enjoying Portland, man. This place is cool.
So we were kind of talking before right now. We were talking about your backstory, and it's pretty fascinating, kind of how you came up into skiing and how you changed it. Can you talk to our listeners a little bit about what you have done in the sport of skiing? I know it's a broad generalization, but what makes you unique?
Yeah, I guess what I'm known for. Yeah, because I don't compete in skiing anymore, but I guess if you kind of look back at the snapshot of what my sort of career, I guess, as a competitor was all about. I started out as like a weekend skier out of Lake Tahoe, and grew up in this little resort called Squaw Valley, and we got into alpine racing, and my brother saw this movie called Hot Dog the Movie, which was this classic like 80s, and it was filmed at Squaw, and my brother saw that movie and was like, this is awesome. And think about back then, you know, freestyle skiing was kind of like snowboarding was in the 90s, right? It was new, it was what everyone was doing. So my brother said, hey, Dad, can we do freestyle skiing instead? And my dad was like, sure, you know, racing seems kind of dangerous anyway.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so he thought that was safer than downhill racing, you know? And little did he know he'd be doing all kinds of backflips. But anyway, fast forward, I was pretty good at it. My brother was pretty good at it. And by the time I was 15, I had won, you know, I was the best. I was better than everyone under 19 in the whole country. So the U.S. ski team started to take a look at me, brought me up to this other level. I won that level on NORAMs. All of a sudden at 18, I was like in a position to qualify for the 94 Olympics. Got smoked on the World Cup, kind of went back to the drawing board, started training, you know, thinking about going to the 98 Olympics. Started to win some World Cups, but was kind of inconsistent, regressed a little bit. And then going into the 1998 Olympics, I was in, I worked with this coach, and he basically thought we all sucked and said, hey, if you want to stay and practice with me throughout all the breaks, you can, you know, sleep on my couch. And I was the only one that did it. Everyone else went home. We started training and looking at all the past champions and figuring out what made them great. And we started working on this machine. And next thing you know, I was like on snow, killing it. And this is right about the time that snowboarding was getting big as well. And so I was looking for a trick, because moguls is like you ski, you do a jump, then you ski, you do a jump. And I was looking for something that was going to kind of put me over the top as far as make it easy for the judges. And there was a small group of us starting to experiment with snowboard tricks, grabbing skis, doing tricks that weren't orthodox, you know, no twisters, helicopters, stuff like that. And I was one of the first to kind of start grabbing my skis, doing a 360 and putting it in my mogul run. And when I started doing that, I was kind of untouchable, and I went to the Olympics in 1998 and won with this thing called the 360 mute grab. And it started grabbed the attention of a lot of skiers, and at the time, skiing was not popular. Everyone was snowboarding. All my friends were snowboarding. And it kind of put skiing back on the front page and started like getting us considered for the X Games and stuff like that. And we started making twin-tip skis and skiing backwards. It kind of started this whole free skiing notion. So then I was kind of known for that, and then as my encore, going back to the '02 Olympics, I had been messing around. I left the ski team and decided I wanted to do X Games, which they wouldn't let me do in the past, and I wanted to go, you know, film ski movies and all this stuff that was kind of out of the realm of a traditional sort of Olympic athlete. And while I was doing that, I created a trick called the dinner roll, and it was really just an off-axis 720, but it was kind of my own style. And when I did that, I got silver in the X Games with it. That's really what I created it for. But during that time, I thought to myself, man, if I could do this in the mogul run, it would be revolutionary, and I could, you know, this would be like my slam dunk. I could win with this thing. So I started trying to, you know, play with trying to get it in my run. The only problem was it wasn't legal. During that time, freestyle skiing did not allow inverted tricks in the moguls, which to me was ridiculous. The whole history of hot dog skiing, starting back in the early 70s, late 60s, was that it was like, you do whatever you want. That's what freestyle is. So I started to make a little push and challenge the International Skiing Federation to let me do this trick. If they weren't going to change the whole rule, let me do this trick. And I lobbied them, and finally they allowed me to do it kind of right before the Olympics. I incorporated it into my run, went to the '02 Olympics, killed it, did my run, did the trick, and ended up 4th place. And I was actually excited that I was able to do it, but it was a bummer to get fourth.
Yeah, you got a hose. I mean, fourth place.
Yeah. So there was within our circle, it was kind of. We felt like we got a little hose. Like,
Did you deserve to win?
Well, I was doing a trick that was way harder than what anyone else was doing at the time. Now, of course, 10-year-olds can do the trick, but to be the first one to do it in that arena, I mean, I'll just say it this way: the following year, they changed all the rules, made my trick worth more, and allowed people to do inverts. But that didn't, if you go back test it against if you put those points back into my original run, I was good enough to win. But I was just a little.
It's a very political answer. I like it.
Ahead of the times, I guess. And but I didn't see it any other way. I wasn't gonna do it. That's what I knew I could do. So that's kind of what I'm known for, I guess. If to sum up my ski career very quickly.
We're talking to Jonny Moseley. He's an Olympic gold medalist. I got to ask you, because you're telling us this story about this move, and you basically invented it, a new style of freestyle skiing. How in the world did you come up with the name, the dinner roll, for the move?
Yeah, that's just part of being kind of a young punk. And first of all, it wasn't just me. There was, there was some kids from Quebec who were really the guys who started doing the snowboard grabs and everything. And I kind of just jumped on, but this move was unique to me. The dinner roll was definitely my rotation, and we were sitting around, and people love to try to make up tricks and name them after themselves. And
why did you name it the Jonny Moseley?
Well, I was kind of thinking that was really cliche. I was trying not to do that.
That's called branding, Jonny.
I know. That
you hear that on Olympic broadcasts now. There he goes doing the Jonny Moseley down the mountain. Yeah.
You would think. But we were sitting around at Squaw Valley, I remember, and we were I started doing the trick there, and I started thinking about it's a 720. Basically, it looked kind of like a roll, so that's where the roll came from. Instead, it was like, what are we going to put in front of the roll?
Right.
And we played with all the stuff, and it was just kind of like a late night
dinner roll.
Right.
I never thought I'd have to explain it. And it just stuck. I never thought I'd have to explain it.
Well, look, you've had an incredible career. Do you think we're at a point, though, where somebody like you're freestyling? Is X Games bigger now than the Olympics in that, that category? Do people look more forward to the X Games than the Olympics?
Well, it's a very interesting topic, because now, this year, slopestyle skiing and halfpipe skiing are new to the Olympics in Sochi. And I just came back from New York and hung out with the kids like Gus Kenworthy and the kids who are going to potentially, win those events. And, they're fired up. I mean, the Olympics is like... when I was a kid and I started freestyle skiing, it wasn't in the Olympics, so I never thought I would go to the Olympics. In general, the Olympics is a bigger deal. If you just
still
look
has
at
the prestige, right?
If you look at just the number of people that are going to see it, ratings, it's not even really close to the X Games, unfortunately. But the truth is, within a certain crew of people, like a certain demo who know what they're looking at, the X Games is still really important.
Kind of that culture, that skiing, snowboarding culture.
It's a certain culture. I mean, if you look at it from an athlete's standpoint, you just can't, you never can compare the exposure you're getting from the Olympics. But from a core standpoint, the X Games is extremely important and awesome. And they things happen there first, and then they go, and that's when you're an athlete, you want to always be kind of on the cutting edge. So.
Right. Yeah. Again, we're talking to Jonny Moseley. He's an Olympic gold medal skier. I got to ask you, just going off the Olympic conversation, to me, when I look at the Olympics, that is the thing that stands out the most to me, is that you train for 4 years, for such a short amount of time. And in our industry, we always talk about the pressures of, Game 7s and, different NBA Finals, World Series. Talk about how much pressure that is, knowing that you put and dedicated 4 years of your life into basically a 2-week time period that if you screw up, that's another 4 years you got to wait just to get back there.
And that's what makes the Olympics not the X Games. And is what I think is that the scarcity is kind of what makes it why when you watch the Olympics, like when I watch the Olympics, I cry when I watch a sport I don't even care about. Like, I'll watch some divers and I'll cry. And figure skating, I like figure skating, but I'll watch it and I will cry. And the reason you cry is because they probably don't have another shot at that. It's even if you're 16, you may not have another shot. And you certainly don't have a shot the following year. It's not like you get one more shot at it,
Right.
like in every other sport. And that's what makes it so intense. And forget training for 4 years. You know, by the time I got to my first Olympics, I'd been training my whole freaking life.
Yeah.
You know, and I can name for every one of me, there's 10, 20, 100 guys who trained the same amount of time, were just as good as me, almost, and didn't even go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's brutal. Once you start down that Olympic path, it's cruel.
Dude, I feel you on the emotions. That's
It's
why I cried a lot in the beginning of Cool Runnings. You know,
Oh,
when
yeah.
he's training, and then he falls. You're like, damn, he's got to wait 4 years.
Halloween, I just dressed as Eddie the Eagle. Do you
you
remember
really?
Eddie the Eagle? Oh, dude, I got to show you this picture.
That's great.
And I made my wife dress as Cool Runnings.
Oh,
I'll show you this picture.
That is
So
so
great.
fantastic.
But it's too bad they don't let those. You know, Eddie the Eagle. They made a rule after him, right? You know,
Yeah.
they used to be like if you were the best in the country, you got to go to the Olympics. Now, you know, after Eddie the Eagle and like people like almost killing themselves, you have to be a certain level. You have to be a certain level in the world. Hold on, I'll find it.
Jonny Moseley joining us here with Danforth, Dirt, and Sprague. Now you live in Squaw Valley, right? Which
Yeah,
is in
yeah.
Reno, Tahoe.
Lake Tahoe, yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
so like I've always wanted to get. Have you guys ever been there, Dirt, Sprague?
No,
I
never
don't
been there.
try.
Yeah, see, I've always wanted to get there too. I just never have. It seems like a logical place. I think a lot of people go to like Mount Bachelor, Sun River. That's kind of close. But I think one of the cool things and one of the reasons Johnny's here is because Alaska Airlines is doing a direct flight to Tahoe, Reno. The inaugural flight is going to be tomorrow. That departs at 11:10 a.m. and they're going to be just $64.
I grew up skiing Squaw Valley, so I'm biased. But I have also skied all over the world, right? I've lived in resorts, and this place just has something about it. It was the host of the 1960 Olympics, which really built the place. But the terrain is just amazing. You get a ton of snow, you get massive powder days, but it's also just got a ton of sunshine. It's just a great place to ski and hang out. But obviously, if you're squeezing in ski vacation, getting there is really important, right? If it takes you all day to get someplace, then all day to get back, it may not make a 2-day trip, worthwhile. So the importance of having a direct flight, like right into Reno from Portland, and then being able to just shuttle right 40 minutes right up to the mountain is what we're promoting here and what's new. And that just makes being able to jump down there from Portland for a little sunshine and some skiing that much easier. And Squaw's just, it's known for its built its name on sort of really awesome terrain and Scott Schmidt and the movies and stuff like that. But I have 2 kids now. I'm 6 and 3. So, they've done so much in the last few years to sort of improve like the beginner runs and intermediate runs. And there's an awesome village, and it's just a quality place to hang out. I love it. So
Jonny Moseley is our guest. Can you stick around for another segment?
yeah, for sure.
All right, Jonny Moseley will be back with us. Danforth, Dirt, and Sprague on ESPN Sports Radio 1080 The Fan. Get you caught up with the Oregon and Stanford score right now with a Sports Center update. First, I would have to imagine you're a happily married man right now. I'm assuming ages. You said kids 6 and 3.
Yes.
Back in the day, I would have to imagine better to be a snowboarder or skier for groupies.
For groupies? Well, trust me, back in the 90s, I would would have rather been a snowboarder. Yeah, I mean, that's half the reason what motivated me to try to win an Olympics, because I wasn't a snowboarder.
How did you not become
I wasn't
a
going to get
snowboarder?
any action.
Yeah.
All the snowboarders were getting all the
Didn't that
action.
make you want to be a snowboarder?
It did, but I was already so deep. So luckily though, an Olympic medal,
Yeah, you were on
that helped me
SNL,
out.
right?
Yeah, getting on a,
That
that
had to
helped
be a
me
nice
out.
little bump in the,
Yeah,
in the game.
that helped me out. So I made up for it. But nowadays, I think you can, if you're these young skiers, they get some action
Hottest girl you've seen outside of your wife, like that you came across, you're like, whoa.
in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I spent a significant amount of time hanging out with Elle Macpherson and Cindy Crawford.
Hold on,
Nice
hold on.
humble
Wow.
brag.
That
So-
is a hell of a humble
Well,
brag.
like not.
Spending
I mean,
time.
I didn't just meet them. Like I
Right,
spent
there
a
was-
day. Like I did a photo shoot with Cindy Crawford.
See, I was going the other way with spending time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dating.
Like I did a photo shoot with Cindy Crawford, and I ended up on a yacht in in Australia with Elle
Rough.
McPherson.
Tough
Rough life.
That was cool. I mean, those were like the hot chicks when I was
Yeah.
growing up, so,
Well, I mean,
don't know now.
sticking with the ladies, man. I did a little digging.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you update your IMDb page,
Oh yeah.
but it says you were voted in 2002 top 50 most eligible bachelors.
Yeah. I was, but I hate to sort of bum this party
Kill
out,
the vibe.
but I was already engaged at that time. So,
So
Would
you
you
go
go
on
on
I
The
did not
Bachelor?
use any of that for. I did not use any of that for
man.
evil. I guess apparently they still consider you a bachelor even if you're engaged.
Single Jonny Moseley back in the day. Would you do the show The
Yeah.
Bachelor?
If I was single, I'd do that.
Consider.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely.
Best
Yeah.
perk you've had like in your life from winning a gold medal is what?
Oh, best perk. Well, the two I just mentioned, probably the best. Well, one that's popping into my mind and is I got taken for a ride like in a like an F-18 fighter jet. That was kind of cool.
That's
stuff
awesome,
like
yeah.
that. Other than that, I mean, the perks just kind of come every day.
Have you always been crazy?
It's funny. I had a parent-teacher conference with my on the phone via phone today
Yeah.
for my 6-year-old,
Yeah.
and they went through all his attributes and how he's doing this and that. It's like, and at the end they're like, he's a risk taker.
Yeah.
He's a risk taker, and they're like, I don't know where he got that from, but I'm guessing yes, I have always been a risk taker.
Kind of always, you always
Yes.
wanted to push that edge.
Yeah. I've
Do you
always
want
been
him
a
to
risk
ski?
taker. I don't. I really am scared of him doing anything close to what I did. He already is skiing. He loves it, but I just can't stand I can't sit there and watch, knowing how many. It's like probably trying to put your kid in football.
Mhm.
It's the
Yeah.
same thing. You sit here and you see Tony Dorsett on TV today. He's all effed up at 60 years old,
Right.
and you're like, how can you want your kid to get into that?
Yeah, we talked about that. Like I
You
said,
know?
I won't let my kid play football. We
Yeah.
had that discussion. It's tough.
It's tough because football gets all the attention, but let's just face it, all of us in skiing have had lots of concussions. You know what I mean? It's just not something that is there.
That was the example you used, Brandon. We were talking
Yeah.
about that. You brought up snowboarding and skiing, and like,
Yeah.
how do you
Yeah,
tell
because
your kid you
people
can't do that?
justify. Like I use this with him because he grew up around Bachelor, and I said, how do you justify taking away football from your kid, but allowing him to go skiing and snowboarding? Because it's just as dangerous going on rails and the half
It's just
pipes.
as dangerous.
Yeah, put you out there.
Yeah.
Jonny Moseley is our guest. Danforth, Durden, Sprague. He's an Olympic gold medalist, and you're going to be on the call for NBC at the Sochi Olympics coming up, correct?
Yeah, so I started doing the color analysis in Vancouver for NBC. So I'm like, they go to the expert analysis. You guys are sports guys. So
Yeah,
sometimes
so-
I have to explain the color analysis rule.
Yeah.
So I'll be in Sochi doing all this.
So there's obviously a lot of political rhetoric with the homosexuals, gays going over to Russia. Where do you come out on that?
Well, I mean, I think it's just lame. It's hard to imagine a country in this day and age coming out and making laws against gay people. But I mean, that's Russia, right? I mean, that's interesting. So I don't think it will affect the Olympics. Like, if you've ever been to an Olympics, it's like its own little country within a country. It's this bubble that happens. And hopefully they will kind of at least not posture in this way, getting close to before and after the Olympics. So
Is it something that you think?
especially because there's gay athletes. I mean, there's
Right,
going to be
right.
gay athletes in the Olympics.
Right.
It's not cool to make them feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
That's lame.
And that was kind of the direction I wanted to go. Do you imagine, or do you expect to see a lot of athletes kind of, I don't know, we all remember the fist in the air, back in the days with the African Americans. Do you expect kind of a show of solidarity from athletes, maybe that are on the medal stand, to do something, hold up any sort of, symbol or...
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it's hard to imagine. There's a lot more. The athletes are so trained these days before they get to the Olympics to try to avoid these types of controversy that would take away from their performance. But I could see someone winning and everything being done and
and screw you,
giving an FU somewhere in
Yeah.
some way with some symbol or something. Sure.
Does NBC, when you guys go and do this, does NBC kind of talk to you guys, or have they already talked to you guys? Hey, you got to be careful how you go about discussing this.
They will. It hasn't happened yet, but we'll be there before the Olympics. We'll have like a seminar basically. It's actually kind of a trip. You get in this room and they have all the analysts and hosts, and you've got the the Al Michaels and Bob Costas, and you've got like every single gold medalist from that they can wrangle for commentary in the room as well. It's it's kind of cool. Yeah, and they go through the ins and outs of. There's a lot of like little rules they have, not rules but guidelines that they want you to follow.
You got the mantra that you coined, or I guess said all the time before the 1998 Olympics. I don't just want to go; I want to win.
So coming out of Squaw Valley, that's it's produced a ton of great Olympians over the years, Olympic medalists, Shannon Barkey, Julia Mancuso, and we've got kind of the new crew coming out of there, Travis Ganong, and Nate Holland, all these guys. And so we're looking to, try to get some more medals out of the squaw. And they have a really deep program from that I grew up in called Mighty Mites, and the race programs and the freestyle programs. So we should hopefully always produce something in the Olympics and, coming up.
Jonny Moseley joining us here, Danforth, Durden, Sprague. Now, you also do American Ninja Warrior. How did you get hooked up with that?
Yeah.
You're a color analyst for American Ninja Warrior.
I am. I'm no longer doing that gig anymore, but I did do it for
Wait, you were on that
for a
show.
year. Yeah, I was the color analyst.
I love that
Yeah,
thing, man.
yeah, it's a great show. I don't know how I ended up getting it. I think they were looking for a guy that could kind of, do color analysis and also had some kind of action sports maybe background, and you never know. I don't even think I auditioned for that. They just called me.
They wanted the dinner roll, man.
They did the dinner roll.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Doing color analysis?
Yeah.
I do, actually. Yeah, of all the TV gigs I do, because I host some stuff that's more like reality-based, I do like the color analysis. It's a lot of research, that's what I kind of like about it, is that you really get in depth and you can kind of break things down, and,
Are you a big sports nut other than skiing and snowboarding? Do you sit in your room and do you have a favorite football team, hoops team?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big hoops guy, but it's funny. I grew up playing baseball and soccer. I love watching football. I probably follow baseball the closest. My wife's a big baseball and football.
You guys got
too,
same team?
Yeah, Giants. We live in San Francisco.
Oh, love it.
Giants and Niners.
The world champion,
The Niners.
Giants.
I'm with you on the Niners. I'm with you on the Niners.
Giants and Niners. So. But as I get older, I feel like I love sports so much that this time of year you're kind of like, there's nothing on. Like I'm gonna get into basketball.
Yeah.
Because I think I just like competition. Like I like seeing how sports play out and strategy and all that stuff. It almost doesn't matter quite so much what the sport is.
What do you have left in your career? Because you've done so much. Is there anything like a bucket list that you have on your career that said I haven't done that, but I'd like to?
I'm not there yet. No, I haven't. That's one thing I need to develop, is that sort of goal that I'm after right now. Right now, I'm just trying to like raise two rascally kids and sort of do the best I can to not screw them up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like my goal.
Yeah.
Is
It's a good
to
goal
like
to have.
not screw them up, and then we'll talk about my own personal ambitions after that, and not get too fat. That's fair. Try to maintain some semblance of shape.
So you're here, obviously, for Alaska Airlines, correct? They've got a direct flight now from Portland to Reno, Tahoe?
Yeah, exactly. So one of the cool things about winning an Olympic gold medal, actually one of my great favorite perks, is that, and I'm still able to milk that gold medal. And one of the perks I have is I'm under contract with Squaw Valley, which is the mountain I grew up at. So I am their chief mountain host, and I sort of do anything, if they're promoting something. And one of the things they're, getting out on the table right now is that you can fly directly into Reno from Portland if you want to come ski for the weekend in Squaw, or for the week or whatever, as opposed to having to stop somewhere else and then go. You cut down your travel time. And so, and I love skiing in Squaw. I have my kids ski in Squaw. We are on the programs there. So we set up a special page, squaw.com/Portland. You go there, and it's pretty cheap. I mean, before November 11th, they're doing a package where it's like $64. If you get in there the same day, you can ski for free at Squaw.
Louise.
So we just want people to come experience. We know you have good skiing up here. I spend a lot of time in Mount Hood, and there's plenty of good skiing in Oregon, but I like to ski other places too. So
Yeah.
this is just giving you some incentive to get down and come check out Lake Tahoe and ski Squaw.
Now, I got to ask you, you're somebody that I'm assuming has probably skied all over the world, and you visited all sorts of different locations. Is there any spot that the Olympics have not been at that you would love to see the Winter Olympics take place?
Yeah, that's interesting. It would probably be pretty cool to see the Olympics. I mean, they have been everywhere. Two places, let's just put it this way, two places I like to ski. that probably haven't seen the Olympics and are kind of odd places are Alaska. I think Anchorage would be a cool spot.
Yeah.
And then another place that would be tough to do because it's opposite hemisphere is New Zealand. Great skiing there, awesome country, would be fun. So put those on the list, I guess.
Jonny Moseley, kind enough to sit down with us. Danforth, Durden, and Sprague. Alaska Airlines has a direct flight, inaugural flight, starting tomorrow at 11:10 a.m. It's about an hour, a little over an hour and a half flight. It's going to be direct from Portland to Reno, Tahoe. Is there a website that people can go to?
Yeah, squaw.com/Portland is the best place. We've set up a special site for just the people coming in from Portland, and they can go there, and then it'll direct them to flights. And you get, you can check lodging and all that stuff as well. They've remodeled the whole village. It's just, Squaw is, it's got to be on your list. You got to get down there and check it out.
We got to get down there.
Hey, we have bucket lists. So
and then
we'll knock that off.
A few years ago, they bought the whole mountain next door,
Yeah.
Alpine Meadows. So you on the same ticket, you're skiing like it's 6,000 acres of skiing.
Nice.
It's a mountain we grew up skiing, but we as kids our parents wouldn't let us go ski the other mountain too.
Right.
So now you get both mountains.
Well, the best part about having you in is now that we have somebody at Squaw, we can stay at your house.
Yeah. Give you a ring.
Come on over, man. Yeah, my parents love guests.
Jonny Moseley, we appreciate the time. Check it out. Do you have a Twitter handle?
It's just JONNYMOSELEY at Jonny Moseley.
Follow him on Twitter.
I'm verified.
Are you verified?
Oh,
you guys
look at
have a blue
that.
check
We
mark?
got a humble
It's funny how I got verified. I was driving down the street in San Francisco. No, I was walking, and I hear these like two girls lean out the window. Hey, Johnny! They scared the hell out of me. Like startled me. They were this close, And they'd recognize me. And then, exactly. Like, where were you 10 years ago? Where was Twitter? Where was Twitter?
Yeah.
So then it's like you would never, in the past, I would never see that person again. But of course, then your phone vibrates.
They followed you.
Right.
They found you on Twitter, and now you're in communication with them, right? Anyway, it turns out they worked at Twitter. They're all like, "Why aren't you verified? We're getting you verified." So boom, boom, boom.
Such a cool
There you
story.
go.
That's funny, right? I mean,
that's great.
Isn't that crazy? Twitter's cool.
Awesome. Jonny Moseley, Danforth, Durden, Sprague. Quick Hitters is next on The Fan.